My name is Bill Joe, and I'm originally from China. I grew up in the US, and my family and I have been in Switzerland for a little over a year now. We had visited Switzerland once before we came here. We knew it was a beautiful country, these mountains, and very expensive. Yeah, what brought us here was actually not part of our plan. In end of 2019, after living in Singapore for 7 years and changing my career, I ended up without a job in the middle of a pandemic, moved back to the United States to be close with my family, my parents. And while trying to find a job in the United States and not having any luck and getting frustrated, we gave up and bought a motorhome and started traveling around the country and living in a motorhome. And when I was really just enjoying the family time and not having to work was when someone from Switzerland, from a company in Switzerland, contacted me on LinkedIn. And at the time it felt like a scam, like why wouldn't anyone from Switzerland tell me about a job opportunity? But I followed up on it and I ended up with a job in Switzerland. And as my wife has always wanted to live in Europe, we never dreamed about having an opportunity to live in Switzerland, and we jumped at it when we had the opportunity. It's really, really quiet, like super quiet. I remember when we were first living in Basel, in the center of Basel, during our temporary living situation, coming from Singapore, it just felt like, gosh, there's no noise. But now that we live in Esch, we really know what quiet means. Well, I think the biggest challenge immediately is the language, just not being able to read and having to pull out your phone with Google Translate all the time. But as we've lived here longer, we started noticing challenges in difference in culture and how people communicate. Sometimes when people say things, they might mean something else, or sometimes it feels like maybe they're being cold or being a bit rude. They don't really intend to. So it's really just looking at the locals and from a different cultural lens. Well, I think Crossroads is a big thing. When we first came here, I think the first weekend, before we even got over our jet lag, we showed up at Crossroads. And being part of a church community, it was always been important for us. And so just being able to establish connections, relationships, and find our roots very quickly, that has been one of the most important things for us here. Another thing that helped us settle in is being able to cook more, because when we lived in Asia, we didn't really cook much. It's always easier and very affordable to eat out. But in order to be settled in, you kind of have to either become better at cooking or you have to accept your own cooking. So luckily we like cooking, and that really helped us to settle in. My hope is that my children will be able to grow up here in a multicultural city and get that exposure. And I continue to hold on to the hope of not having to pay for expensive college tuition in the US. I think I would advise people to not be afraid of a completely different country and different culture. I know that a lot of people are afraid that it might be very expensive and maybe a totally different lifestyle. But I think if you move here and you're open to the challenge, you take it day by day, things will work out. And if you're flexible, you're always trying to understand and meet new people, you'll also learn a lot about the culture and how different people think.